Well, good morning. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Report. My name is Willie Lawson. The Morning Report, where we get it done. Today is something that I was scrolling through Twitter or whatever, X, and it's been being called the bomb drop. President Trump, now in his second term, has dropped what the internet is calling a tax nuke. The president is reportedly advancing a plan. Now, it's not a bill at this point. No one's written a bill. It's just an idea that he's tossing out there, as he does, to eliminate federal income taxes for any American earning less than $200,000 per year. For married couples, that cap rises to $400,000 a year. Think about this. Zero federal income tax for married couples earning $400,000 a year or less, or single people earning $200,000 a year or less. That's not just bold. That would be historic. That's FDR kind of historic. That would wipe out the tax burden for nearly 80% of American earners. So now you're wondering how you pay back that student loan? Now you have the money to pay back that student loan. You wonder how you're going to save for that house? Now you have the money to save for that house. Well, at least that money isn't going to, your income tax. Now, this is interesting. We're going to talk about some of this stuff. How this is actually going to work. The mechanics of it. The idea, of course, is mind-blowing. Some people think like me, think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread and pay toilets. They don't have pay toilets anymore. None of you are young enough to remember when you had to put a dime in to go poop. But maybe they should do that at Alligator Alcatraz. Anyway, how is this going to work? Because this proposal turns the entire income tax system on its head. The key idea, shift away from punishing work and instead focus on taxing consumption. Now, we've talked about this on this program, where here's the deal. The difference would have to be, the 50% difference in the tax revenue would have to be made up somehow. And it would probably be made up in some sort of consumption tax. Yes, a national sales tax. That might be as big as 15%, maybe 20%. But then you could decide when and where you pay taxes. It would be something akin to a fair tax system. It would be at that point, the fair tax system would be the perfect thing to fill the gap. And especially according to Trump, if you can mirror that or marry that with income from tariffs, that would be the way to go. Think about this. Your paycheck, you get it? No federal income tax out of it. We all remember, I do anyway, I don't know if you remember, that very first check you got, that wasn't like a check that someone gave you for mowing the lawn or something. That kind of thing, that very first paycheck you got, and you looked at it on that Friday afternoon, and you turned it over to the other page, and you saw the deductions, and you wondered, what is FICA? We didn't know what FICA was. Now, this is not what it stands for, but this is what it stood for in my head. Federal Income Collection Agency. That's not what it stands for, but that's what it stood for in my head. Federal Income Collection Agency. They were taking my money. It's my money that I'd earned, Because I went to work. I clocked in. I did the work. I clocked out. I clocked out for breaks. I clocked out for lunches. But I was there my 8 hours or 8.5 hours or however long they told me to be there. I earned that money doing that job, whatever it was. And some of it was just gone before I even saw it. That didn't seem right. Imagine that wouldn't be an experience for people anymore. It wouldn't be an experience for people. There'd be no federal income tax taken out of your check. That you would have business profits under $200,000 untaxed. And when you start a business and you actually start making some small profits, it's great to be able to, first of all, pay yourself. So many businesses are people who are starting businesses, the last people they pay are themselves. And that's what a lot of people don't get. You start a business, they think, oh, now you're rolling in it, man. Now you could afford this. You ought to pay more. Because before they pay more, businesses first have to pay themselves. So many times. And this is a mistake, I think, and this is another show. And y'all can talk about it in the comments. So many times, people who start businesses, what they don't figure into in their finances and their financials is paying themselves. So imagine now you start your business and your profits are untaxed under $200,000. Start paying yourself. Wow. You can actually start to grow. You can take that money and you can put it back into your business. You can take some of that money and put back into your business and maybe buy health care for your employees or something. Because now you have the ability to. So listen. So if you want to go buy a plane, you want to go buy a Cirrus SR-22T from a very good friend of mine. I can make that connection for you. Yeah, you may have to pay a national sales tax. Yeah, that might be a little bit more expensive than before. It may be. You know? But you got it. No worries. Because your first $200,000 is not going to be taxed. So yeah, you get a break too. So it mirrors the logic behind what a lot of us have been cheering for a long time, is the fair tax movement. And it's a populist sledgehammer, yes, to the current system, I think. I think it's the way to go. I think it's the way the founders would have liked. Now, here's the upside. Working Americans get to keep what they earn. I just don't know how that's a bad thing. Small businesses can grow faster without IRS ankle weights, and we just talked about that. And it injects more spending power into the economy, especially for just middle class people, because now they've got more money. So now they can buy a few more groceries that week. They can get a few more school supplies. They can because now if you look at what FICA used to take, FICA's not taking anymore. That goes back into your checking account. That goes back into your savings account. That goes back into your food budget. That goes back into your housing budget. That goes back into your housing repair budget. That goes back into your paying for gas budget. You know what I'm saying? Have I made myself clear? Have I made myself clear? Now, where there's a yin, there's a yang. A downside is there is a massive revenue loss for government. Massive. Trillions annually. Massive. Government programs would face shortfalls unless that income is replaced by a new revenue model. Now, before we go on to the next thing, some of those programs would have to go away. Some of them. Things like USAID would have to go away. No more Iranian Sesame Street. Sorry. It's like Chris from Family Guy. But you know what I'm saying? Some of those things would have to go away. And we'd have to really rethink some of the things that we don't want to rethink. We'd have to rethink Social Security. We'd have to rethink Medicaid. We have to rethink Medicare. Some of these things, we'd have to rethink what they used to call AFDC. They don't call it that anymore. There's a new acronym for it. We'd have to rethink SNAP. We have to rethink a lot of these social safety nets. We'd have to rethink. I'm not saying that we'd have to get rid of them all, but we definitely have to rethink them for sure. For sure. They'd have to be redone. Reimagined. I guess that's the word that they use, right? Reimagined. Now, and unlike, well, just kind of like it is now, more wealthy Americans and corporations would face the pressure to foot some of the bill, a lot more of the bill. Like I said, if you are thinking about buying a plane, maybe in a Cirrus SR-22T, I know a guy, yeah, you're going to have to pony up a bit more. That's the truth. That's great. You know, my friend Byron Donalds, who's running for governor, he's not my friend. I just like to call him my friend. He is quoted saying that the federal government doesn't have a revenue problem; it's got a spending addiction. Yeah. So we'd have to rethink a lot of that for sure. Now, I think, it's something that J.D. Vance said, this is Reaganomics for a new century. Vivek Ramaswamy said that it's time to disrupt the tax code like Uber disrupted taxis. Charlie Kirk, who I'm not a great fan of all the time, this could be the most pro-worker policy in American history. This idea is an FDR idea. This idea is a game changer. This flips the entire system on its head. K Street goes away. Oh, K Street. K Street is where all the lobbyists are. Lobbyists are only there to better the position of whoever they're lobbying for in the tax code. Imagine all the tax attorneys who have to get honest work now. Imagine all the tax accountants, the firms that are out there that says, you know, if you're struggling with your IRS debt, we can help you if you pay us. No, I'm not struggling with I make $120,000 a year. I don't have an IRS debt problem. I don't get a form. They don't take money out of my account. I don't get a form. Imagine. Quite a disruptor. Now the left would have a complete meltdown. They would be losing it, right? Why? They'll say something like, "It'll starve the government," and to that I say, "Yeah, that's true. It'll explode the deficit." In the short term, yeah, that's true. This helps the rich. This is the one I wanted to concentrate on. It helps the rich by making their SR-22T, if you want one, I know a guy, more expensive. All the luxury stuff more expensive. When we're talking about the rich, we're talking about people, not about the wealthy. You know, Chris Rock actually defined the difference between rich and wealthy. Let me help you with it. Shaquille O'Neal is rich. The guy that signs Shaquille O'Neal's paycheck is wealthy. Rich, you could lose at a bad night in Vegas. Wealthy is almost impossible to lose. It's generational. Wealthy is almost impossible to lose. Now, the rich, who would go out and buy an SR-22T, if you want one, I know a guy, they would have to pay more for that aircraft, and whatever the thing is, the equivalent boat or yacht is, they'd have to pay more for it. Yes, they would get a break because their income up to $200,000 is not taxed. But if they're a billionaire, it's not going to help them that much. Hell, if they're a millionaire, it'll help them some. But you know who it helps? It helps everybody in the country, 80% of taxpayers in the country who make less than $200,000. It helps all the people, everybody who's working in a McDonald's restaurant in the country, just about, right? It helps all those people. It helps every single person with a blue schmuck on working at a Walmart. Every single person. None of those people that you see will be paying any federal income tax. None of them. See, think about this. Think about going to an elementary school and knowing that every single teacher, every single lunchroom person, every single janitor, none of them are now would be on the hook for federal income tax. I was thinking about this yesterday, and I was thinking about the people I know. Now, I happen to have known some people who were cash millionaires. I only know them. I couldn't get any money out of them. I just knew them. Went to church with a couple of them. Almost everybody I know, of all the people that I know, nobody makes $200,000. Nobody makes $250,000 a year. So almost everybody I know would not be paying federal income tax. When I go in a grocery store, nobody working in a grocery store, except maybe the Publix manager, would be on the hook for federal income tax. That is amazing. Unless you live in an exclusive neighborhood, if I went out on my street right now and walked my block, there'd be nobody on my block that would pay any federal income tax. Nobody. There'd hardly be anybody in my neighborhood that would pay any federal income tax. Are you kidding me? Helps the rich? Helps the rich? That's where they try to get you. It would help everybody in this house, that's for sure. That's for doggone sure. So it's funny how letting working folks keep their money is somehow now considered extreme. All right. And amazingly enough, there would be critics. There would be critics. Critics warn that this would increase reliance on regressive sales tax. There'd be the sticker shock for a loaf of bread would be, it would be, to start with, it would jeopardize Social Security and Medicaid funding. It would, in the beginning, it might, but those things have to be reimagined. I already told you that Social Security and Medicare would have to be reimagined. Who gets it, when they get it, how it's doled out. Maybe you have a cutoff. Maybe I don't know, Social Security. Maybe if you are 18, when you sign up for selective service, selective service, especially if you're a dude, you sign up for selective service, you could decide then if you are going to pay into Social Security, or if you'd like your money in your pocket so you could deal with it. Maybe you'd have a system where you sign in, you could sign in and out. So at 65 or 70 or whatever the number is, you could, get whatever you paid in, plus some interest. Or you could have taken that money and you could invest it yourself and do better than Social Security. Maybe Medicare could, at that point, if you could get enough people off of Social Security, the money left over that you're not doling out could go to Medicare. I mean, there's a bunch of ways to do it. Now I'm just spitballing, but the idea, because this is live, is we'd have to reimagine it for sure. And they're saying that it would shift the burden to the middle class via stealth taxes like the sales tax. They would still have to pay. But here's the kicker. Income tax is already progressive. The top 10% of earners pay more than 70% of all income tax. Under this idea, the gap gets wider, but so does relief for the average American. Listen, make no mistake, this is a 2026 game changer. If anything close to this happens, it would force the left to explain why workers should give the government 20% of their check. Because then you could just go to the town hall meeting and raise your hand and go, how come I should give the federal government 20% of my money when I could use that 20% of my money to help my family right here, right now? Make them answer that question. And it splits moderate Republicans who cling to the old Beltway orthodoxy. There's like, we can't change something young. And it turns Trump into a middle-class reformer in chief. It turns Trump into the right's FDR. Trump said this at a rally in July, just a few days ago. You work hard. You deserve to keep what you earn. The days of DC dipping into your wallet are over. You work hard. You deserve to keep what you earn. Now, I don't know if there is I don't know. Maybe you'll say so in the comments. I don't know if there is an argument against you work hard. You deserve to keep your money. Is there an argument against that? That means that you're stingy and you're greedy. Now I have 20% of my money that I could, give it to my church, give to Salvation Army, give to the Red Cross, give to on and on. Because now I get to decide. I get to help my family. I get to help my church. I get to help my school, my kids' school. I get to help. Now I get to decide where that extra money goes. Now this would require a full IRS overhaul, which is completely necessary. That should happen anyway. What else it would require? Constitutional changes. Yes, a constitutional change, a complete rewrite of the tax code. Yes, a complete rewrite of the tax code for sure. If you institute something like this, you have to write into the law that it can't be changed for 100 years. That it can't be changed for 100 years. 100 years. That it can't even be revisited for 100 years. Unfortunately, at this point, are you going to have to replace some of that revenue? Yes, no doubt. Like I said earlier, through tariffs, national sales tax, some surtaxes on people who make more. Again, people like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos and these dudes who say that, I'd gladly pay more in taxes, or what's that idiot that owns the Dallas Mavericks? Yeah, I'd gladly pay more in taxes. Well, you're going to get the opportunity to do so. Write the check. So countries like Estonia and the UAE and Singapore run leaner, flatter tax systems. Why not us? So this isn't just policy. This is a philosophy. Work is noble. Government is wasteful. Let Americans keep what they earn. That's my take. No more nickel and diming waitresses, truck drivers, welders, and small business owners. There's a chance that the battlefield has now been redrawn. The real question now is, who's going to stand with the people? My name is Willie Lawson. Please go to fightbackmedia.com, fightbackmedia.com. Subscribe to this channel here on YouTube and stay alert. The tax revolution has begun, and the Morning Report is watching every dollar. We'll see you when we see you. Bye-bye now.